Well, hello. I made a video in Spanish about these headers, so I figured, well, why not make one in English as well? I'm not going to have these parts forever, sitting in my desk. So here they are. It's a set of M&M headers or manifolds, depending on where you live. This specific set was requested with high flow cats, even though it's a track only GT3, but the customer didn't want to really mess with the emissions exhaust. So it's a high flow. It's a 200 CPSI unit. You could order it as well with a 100 cell count if you want it. It really depends on what you're going to be using and if you are willing to reflash the ECU, because otherwise you're going to have a check engine light. Now you can see M&M chose to make the manifold as a single piece, linking all three exhaust ports rather than keep them isolated, individual. So usually the company has a lot of experience with racing cars. So if they made that decision, it's mostly due to reliability and longevity of the exhaust. Many of the brands that you will see available, they don't really have hands-on experience with the products. They really just manufacture the product and that's it. Whereas some small manufacturers, such as this one, really do have a more involved relationship with the customers, and that allows them to really provide a better product for anyone interested in buying from them. You can also see it's a very good job. There's a bit of a porting here in order to reduce the friction, and also it's a pretty good job to make it the oval transition for the port to the round tubing. The welding, you can see it's very much man-made. It's not robotic. So let's hope we don't have any issues with the welds. They also chose to make this somewhat short collector. It really has a lot to do with the fact that this design changed a lot for the 992 versus the previous GT3s. So obviously this reduces the length available, and that involves more craftsmanship. That's why it's also more expensive to buy the headers for the later GT3 cars than the earlier ones. It's a more involved manufacturing process. There's your badge there. So fresh out of the oven, just 1 month. And we're really looking forward to testing this exhaust out. This car already has the M&M rear section. We chose it with the street version, which means it has mufflers in it, some small resonators to keep the volume down. They do quiet the exhaust very effectively. So the customer wanted a bit more noise and a bit more performance. That's why we went this route. So hopefully he'll be very pleased. I hope this video helps you consider your options, and whenever you're shopping for an exhaust for your car, just try to take some time and look at the pictures. See as much as you can, from what the details they have available and what they're showing in each photograph, because really it makes all the difference. I've had experiences where I remember this very fondly. Back in 2009, 2010, it was one of the first big projects that I managed to build, and it was a Mark V GTI. We had a VF Engineering big turbo kit, and I had a good offer from a vendor for trying out their catback section. It was the same tubing as the original, 2.5 inches. And it just, it was a mess. It was complete garbage. We were losing on the dyno 39 horsepower versus the factory Volkswagen exhaust. And I really couldn't believe it. But when the tuner said, the only variant from this car against the others is the catback, so let's remove that and put the stock back in. And yeah, sure indeed, we made the runs again. The car started performing flawlessly. No more custom tuning involved. We ended up cutting that catback open, and you could see that it was just absolute garbage. The muffler only had flow through half of the muffler, so the whole body was not used. In order to make it cheaper to produce, rather than using the whole body and the internal sections available, they chose to change the routing, and instead of buying the packing and packing the muffler, they just made some baffles inside, and it was just disgusting. And we could see it after the dyno testing, because half of the muffler was turning blue, meaning it was creating heat, passing heat throughout it, and the other half was still polished. So that's your lesson. With the headers, it's the same thing. Like, this flange is this thick, or it's going to be a thin version, so it's likely to break. Are they independent, or they're joined together? So which one is going to give you greater strength? How are the welds? You can see here that welding, it's not on the entire piece. It has some flex, and you can see there is quite some gap there, so it can grow, it can expand as the heat cycles come on and off. And you can see also the welding here is very well made. It doesn't have big transitions, big changes in diameter. Same here. It's just a very involved process, and that's really the difference between a factory exhaust and a fabricated piece. Those are really the small differences that make the big difference when you're racing the car, where you're dynoing the car, and you want to test the improvement yourself. So anyway, I hope you have a great 2026. Regards from Mexico City, and hopefully I'll make more videos soon. If you want more information about this exhaust system, this manufacturer, or just car parts in particular, just send me an email and I'll be happy to reply. Take care. See you soon.